Now, my interpretation of this topic is that this topic is not this. If I am very strict with the evaluation, I can give you 0 here. Now, let me start off with the analysis and discussion on the topic. I'm taking up the first topic. The first topic is forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. Now, see, one very important thing that you all must remember is in the exam conditions, it's impossible to recall who has said this in what context. Although after the exam is over, the paper is done, you come back and Google search, you will know somebody would have said it in some context. You would know who would have mentioned this in what circumstances. In the exam condition, it's impossible to know who has said this, what was his intention, what was he trying to convey, and what was his purpose. So let's ignore that part. Let us see this topic as a person trying to write an essay for the time when he does not know who has given this particular topic. Forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. Now, one way of interpreting this topic is that economic development, economic growth, economic achievement, okay, is some way related to the health of the forests. So when I say health of the forest, I'm talking about biodiversity, I'm talking about sustainable forestry practices, we're talking about wildlife conservation, we're talking about the programs for afforestation, okay? And if you can take care of forests, you also take care of lot of disasters. This is one of the interpretations of this topic, that economic development, economic growth, economic achievements are related to the forest health, are related to biodiversity, sustainable development. It's about the forest-based economies. It's about forest-based communities. It's about afforestation programs. And if forests are managed well, okay, you can take care of the floods downstream, you can take care of soil erosion, okay, problems, you can take care of land degradation and so on. This is one interpretation. And some of you can do a bit more smarter thing. You will say, okay, not just the forest, you can relate the forests to, okay, nature in general. You can relate the forest to environment in general. You can relate the forest to the Earth's ecosystem health in general. You can go beyond the forest and say, why just forest? Okay, you can talk about the entire nature. You can talk about the entire ecological systems, the water, the land, okay, the biodiversity in general. ये भी कर सकते हैं आप लोग. You have gone beyond the forest. So most of you, this looks doable. Now, my interpretation of this topic is that this topic is not this. Okay, this is the surprise for all of you. My interpretation is this topic is not this. Okay, I mean, if I am very strict with the evaluation, I can give you 0 here. If I'm very strict with this evaluation, I can actually dismiss entirely. Okay, this is not what this topic means. Forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. Actually, this word case study is the wrong word here. You should always read the Hindi version. You must always read, okay, what the words imply in Hindi. Okay, now see, whether you'll get marks or not is a separate story. Okay, that's dependent on your efforts, your choice of words, or ideas, वो अलग बात है. ठीक है? But topic का meaning ये नहीं है. See, what the topic is saying is the economic systems that we have, in some way, it mimics. The economic system in some way is similar to, the economic system in some way is symbolically represented by. The economic systems in some way can be considered to be very likely to the forests. Okay, it is a symbolic comparison because देखो forests का मतलब क्या है? Forest means These are natural. When I say natural, something is organic about them. Forests represent interrelationships. Okay, forests represent survival of the fittest. Forest represents the old will die, the new will survive. The forest represents there has to be efficiency in how nutrients are used. The forest represents efficiency. The forest represents interrelationships. The forest represents symbiotic associations. There is predation. There is parasitism. Okay, there is some kind of organic connections between systems. Forest represents those aspects. So if you want economic excellence, these are the attributes, these are the qualities you must try to emulate in economic systems. For a good, robust economic system, for economic excellence, not simply growth, for economic achievements, what we need is, we need adaptability to changing ecosystems. What we need is robust systems which can morph, robust systems which can absorb. Okay, what we need to do is we have to be efficient, and those not efficient will die out. The ones which are adapting will survive. What we need is efficiency in how we use our resources. So it is not really forest the way we see forest. It's forest in terms of its attributes. So what you should have done is, you should have discussed how economic systems can thrive, they can grow, okay, and they can deliver. They will, if they mimic, if they can represent and operate on the virtues on which forests exist and evolve. Ye tha idea of this particular topic. So those who wrote about sustainable development, forest conservation, tribal rights, land management, biodiversity. So I have my doubts about if that should have been the approach. But nevertheless, whether you'll get marks or not, that depends on many other things. Okay, I'm not saying that those who wrote this dimension, okay, they will not get marks. I'm not saying that. Because see, ultimately marks depends on the examiner, what he understands, what is he willing to accommodate, what is he willing to give you space for. वो बहुत important होता है. Okay, and we do not know what instructions UPSC may have given. But the actual meaning of this topic is on this side, that we should have discussed how economic systems can thrive, economic systems can grow and deliver if they can mimic, if they can replicate, if they can in some way reflect and operate on the lines that makes forests resilient, that makes forests efficient in the resource use and in their organic ways, how they grow. Can you all tell me one thing? This topic is challenging what aspect of our economic systems today? आप बता सकते हैं? This topic that economic systems are like forests, it is challenging what aspect of our economic reality today? You'll see across companies, there is a lot of focus on inorganic growth. There's a lot of focus on a fast growth. There's a lot of focus on predatory growth. There is a lot of focus on going solo and killing other competitors. There's a lot of focus on how economic systems are disrespectful of others' rights. Now, these are not the signs of economic excellence. These are not the signs of economic robustness. These are not the signs of economic sustainability. This topic is challenging these aspects of our economic system. Yes, that if you want to have growth and economic excellence, you cannot be inorganic. You cannot talk about fast and uncontrolled growth like cancer. You cannot talk about predatory growth, which is monopoly, killing all the small competitions. It cannot be going solo. Okay, you have to be part of a larger ecosystem. Economic sustainability not possible if you are disrespectful of other rights. If you are wasteful, today you find that economic systems are wasteful. They are wasteful. Okay, the way systems are operating, the way you are running marketing programs, sponsoring big league events and throwing billions of dollars of investors, that is not sustainable. That's wasteful. Forests, on the other hand, are very efficient. Forests, on the other hand, are very frugal. Forests symbolize care. Forests symbolize a long evolution, a slow process of growth. Economic excellence must imbibe all of those attributes. Economic excellence must absorb those aspects of forest ecosystems. If students have written on this, they have written on this without understanding. They have written on this without appreciating what this topic actually means. So what do you think now? Would you have gone for this topic on second thoughts?